evening. Thank you so much for staying with us on The Explainer. And it's our time now to have a conversation about the budget 2025-2026 and the finance bill that has just been introduced in the National Assembly after the deadline that was the 30th of April for the budget estimates. And we'll be talking about that and also understanding the process of budget making. Like I told you, we have here with us the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Economic Planning, Cabinet Secretary John Badi. Good evening.
Good evening.
And of course, we have these other representatives. We have Honorable Yusuf Adan Haji, who is the chairperson of the National Cohesion and Equality Opportunity Committee. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
And joining us also this evening is Alan Chacha from Universities and Colleges Student Peace Association of Kenya. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
And I also have the Executive Director from the Interreligious Council of Kenya, Linus Ntigai. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Great. So, Waziri, let's start off because we want to understand first, when you're talking about the budget of 2025-2026, and we read the cabinet release indicating that in the finance bill of 2025, there are no new taxes. Maybe you can help us by understanding what does that mean? And secondly, there was a promise last year that you don't think there will be any need of a finance bill 2025. Now we have one.
Thank you. First, let me start by indicating that I'm accompanied here by a good team from the National Treasury, various directors. I have 4 Director Generals, the one in charge of public investment and portfolio management, Lawrence Kibet, is there. We also have the Director General of Budget, Fiscal and Economic Affairs, Albert Mwenda. There is also Raphael Oweno, who is in charge of the public debt management office. He's the only Director General managing an office.
Yeah.
And then finally, we also have the new kid in the block, the new Director General of PPP,
right,
Kefa Saida, plus other directors. Now, first, you'll allow me to digress a bit, and just indicate that the governance system in Kenya has completely changed, has evolved over the years. Remember, there was a time when the governance structure in this country and system was opaque. Actually, we used to call it sirikali. Things were not known what was happening. And I will just cite 2 examples. One is in terms of democracy. One is the date of election. No one knew about the date of election except the president. And it was being used as a weapon, a secret weapon. Nyayo used it a lot. So then we also have the budget, which used to be a secretive document only seen when the Minister for Finance comes out of the Treasury building with a big briefcase, and then just before that, people start hoarding goods. They speculate, price of sugar will go up, price of this one will go up, and then you start hearing big numbers. Everybody's glued to the TV. That has completely changed. With the 2010 Constitution, we are in a system where now Kenyans are demanding for accountability. Through the Constitution, Article 10, it calls for openness, transparency, and accountability from all arms of government and structures. Article 201, which is the first article under Chapter 12 on public finance, talks about principles of public finance and tells you things about openness in budget-making process. We'll also talk to you about fairness in sharing revenue and allocating resources. It will talk to you about how you need to deal with the marginalized groups. So the whole system has changed. So that is where we are. We are in such a dispensation.
Right.
I wanted to put across that just to highlight that where we are today, you've just mentioned about the finance bill. And you have talked about budget estimates that have been presented in the House. I want Kenyans to understand that these documents are just almost the final products of a long process that started way back. Actually, immediately you close a financial year, you get into another one, you start the budget process. And this began in August when the Treasury issued a circular, and then in the month of August to all MDAs to prepare for budget process. Then came September, where you come up with the budget review and outlook paper, which simply looks at the previous financial year to see what happened in terms of achievements and performance and the outlook of the economy, and then projecting the going forward what is likely to be the outturn. Now that then informs the resource envelope, which Treasury simply has an envelope, and we say this sector we are giving you this much, this sector we can allocate this much, and this sector we allocate this much. So those sectoral groups then embark on a very rigorous process, the sector working groups, of public participation, public engagement. Because, let me just mention this, that you see, even within the sector, the needs of the country are totally different. It's diverse. Even under health, what is relevant to Homa Bay County in terms of, say, some diseases like malaria may not be obtaining in Northeastern, where my brother comes from. So all these are taken into consideration, and then you produce the budget policy statement, which again by 15th of February goes to the National Assembly, and then the budget estimates are prepared. The Constitution speaks to that.
We will get to that. I was just asking an opening question.
I'm actually almost concluding.
Yeah.
So then by 30th April we are supposed to present the two documents that you have mentioned. So now to come back to your specific question, and again this is still an engagement, because until the finance bill is signed into law, it's still a draft, it's still a proposal. It's a legislative proposal, and also until the appropriation bill is assented to. Now, when you ask about commitment that there will be no finance bill in 2025, I don't think that was a commitment from anyone. From myself.
What you told me
actually said.
We're sitting in the same place here. When we were talking about the tax laws, the amendments that were pursued in November, December last year.
The commitment that I gave is that we don't have to have new tax measures every financial year. But finance bill is desirable, because the finance bill is actually a constitutional provision. It talks every financial year you are required to provide to the National Assembly from the Treasury estimates of revenue and estimates of expenditure. And those estimates will have to be converted into a bill. So now for expenditure, it will be the appropriations bill. For revenue, it will be the finance bill. Now, the finance bill doesn't have to always adjust tax rates upwards. That is what I said, and that is what I stand with. But looking at our finance bill of this year, you'll see it is more on tax administration and trying to seal the loopholes, and also make tax collection efficient and remove ambiguities in terms of tax laws, and to streamline the tax.
So because you're saying that you have to have both sides, the expenditure and the revenue-raising measures, so how much do you expect to raise from Finance Bill 2025?
Well, in terms of additional revenue collection, we are not collecting much. I think this probably could be the record year when we are not collecting much from new tax measures. The estimates is in the region of about 25 billion to 30 billion. What we are trying to do is to use this bill to implement the national tax policy. Our national tax policy speaks to certainty, predictability of tax regime. So what we want to do is not to always be changing taxes, but to consolidate the gains, to consolidate the tax measures that we have in place, so that business community can understand that we have a predictable tax policy and tax regime. So no new major measures. It is just to help in tax administration and streamlining the tax laws.
Okay, you know, Waziri, that's interesting because you're saying revenue-raising measures have to also be captured. But we'll talk more about that, including our experts who are here will be helping us unpack that. But Mheshimiwa, help us here understand, because yes, since the 2010 Constitution, the budget-making process has become different. And you lead a committee that is supposed to ensure there is national cohesion and equal opportunities. But there has been complaints in this country, including members of the House that you sit in, that certain regions in this country are disadvantaged in terms of allocation of resources because they are not, start of the quote, in government, end of quote. How true is that?
Yeah, actually, if I just send you back a little bit, budget making has changed, as he said very well. You very well remember that the 1960 sectional paper number 10 is the one which really splitted this country into areas where they used to call it the high potential area, where money should be put in order to make benefits for the country, and areas whereby it should be forgotten completely because it is useless to invest in those areas. But you know, a country is made up of the people and the land. And if you look at areas where they were calling a low potential area, it's almost 75–80% of this country. So that is where the rain started beating us. But come with the new constitution, a lot has changed.
Right.
And they say that a journey of 1,000 kilometers will start with one step. And you don't expect overnight, you know, the change to happen.
Right.
But a lot has happened between when the new constitution was done and still slowly it's happening, it's improving. Budget making used to be only where you look at the revenue and the expenditure and look at figures only. Tonight we are seated here, I don't have any figure. But I'm talking of budget making process whereby there should be equity. There should be consideration for everybody. The National Cohesion Bill of 2018, which we are actually repealing now, and we have a new bill coming up, says that people who are marginalized, people who are disabled, the youth, the women, each of them have been given their portion within by the
how well has Parliament done in ensuring what you're describing?
A lot has been done. If you remember very recently, a year ago or so, when Kenya Revenue Authority decided to employ so huge number of youth, and when my committee interrogated and we realized that you know, the employment was skewed towards a certain area, we had to stop it completely, cancel it, and even use the laws, I mean the courts, to stop it so that it can come and balanced. So we check all the time now. Every maybe 1 year we check on government institutions and see how far they have improved.
All right.
But if I just give you one good example, the law of this country, the constitution of this country says every government employment, 5% must be for the disabled people. Must. So I looked at the institutions that had 0.1% a year ago. Recently when I looked, they have moved to 2%, 2.3%. Which is, to me, it is an improvement.
All right.
And if we continue, we are going to succeed ultimately.
Now, the guy from the IRCK, your observation about the progress that the country has made when it comes to consideration of these two major documents, the budget estimates, but at the same time, the finance bill, and borrowing lessons from last year when it appeared the government and the political class was not listening to the people.
Thank you, Sam, and everyone else. Looking at the lessons from last year, I agree that the government has learned, especially from GST movement and the riots. Looking at the budget of this time, you can, as the CS has explained, there has been consistency in engaging the public. There has been quite a lot of citizen participation and quite a lot of listening. And that is how we have managed to come up with a budget that is lower than for the last year, a budget that has more consideration on the expenditure, especially within the social sector. So I think the government has learned a lesson and utilized that lesson in improving in the current budget.
Okay. We'll be checking with the audiences here who have been getting an opportunity to walk through the budget books and tell us if indeed what you're describing is the real situation. But Alan, so for you, what is the key concern from the stakeholders that you represent when it comes to management of the public finance in this country? Because you see the revenue collection, it's going into different points of costs, yet we still have a government to run.
Thank you so much, Sam. First, allow me to really say that the key concern among young people, the first one is that previously, young people used to be invited as just as representative to just come and participate. But right now, even if you look at the participant, the audience, it actually reflects the 75% young people in the country. Mm-hmm. Young people have come up and are showing interest to be part and parcel of building the nation. The key concern that young people are raising is that we need to be on the table. We need to ensure that our issues that we raise are considered from the beginning. Mm. And that's why I must really commend the CS, because for the first time, the CS, we have seen him going, engaging the people, direct. And with this one, you find that if the CS goes and engages the people direct, then the real issues will be captured. Mm-hmm. So, like even last week, was it on Friday, we were able to organize a forum where a student engaged directly with the National Treasury, asking them questions, beginning with the first question. Kindly, first of all, tell us the budget-making process. How is it? When does it start? Before even we can begin talking about the bill itself. And these are some of the things that, for me, I really appreciate and say that right now, at least the government is giving more opportunities to the young people, okay, in terms of discussing and getting their concern. And lastly, Sam, one of the concerns that has been there is that in most cases, you find that the documents that are normally developed, one, they are too bulky, where you find that young people are not able to read them. Then number two, the language itself that is used. Yeah. You find that, public participation is not just a word or a statement, It's something that has been captured in the Constitution, and public participation need to be really taken very serious, to the extent that you must be able to understand your audience. Right. If you are going to the young people, which language, how do you design that public participation? If you are going, for example, to the Mama Mboga, the public participation must be designed in a way and targeting those audience. Okay. So for me, that is what I can say, that in terms of the young people, one of the things is that for me, the concern and what we are raising is that we must be on the table. All right, Alan, you'll be helping us with alternatives on how you can describe some of the technical terms in the budget-making process. Before we get to the questions, there was a promise from the President that starting the financial year 2025-2026, there will be zero-based budgeting. Have you achieved it?
Largely so. Sam, this is something that we have complained about previously, that our budgeting process was on an incremental basis, which simply means that you look at what was allocated the previous financial year, and then you allocate additional amount depending on how you like that MDA. Now, this year, one of the communications that came from the Treasury was that we were going to do a zero-based budget. And we developed a tool in the IFMI system which was given to the sector working groups to use, so that you will find standardization of even prices. If the same item or product is bought by government ministries, or you are budgeting to buy a table, whichever standard of the table, the price that is used in one line ministry is the same price in the other one. So that we don't have a situation where you are buying 5 tables, for example, and another MDA is buying 3, and yet the budget allocated to them for the same table is higher than this one. So that
is that what zero-based budgeting means?
That is the simplest that I can give to you. You wanted a simple language. Zero-based budget simply means...
Okay, so what is zero-based budgeting?
You want me to get them technical? Zero-based budget simply means that you have to justify each and every program, each and every budgetary allocation that you are given. So you don't start from somewhere, you start from zero. That is why it is called zero-based budget. So you say, in my ministry, these are the programs that I want to run. You justify them, and then you cost them.
So when did that happen, for instance, for the Ministry of Water?
It happened across board for all of them. When we gave...
When and how for the Ministry of Water?
Maybe I don't get your question.
I'm asking because you're saying that you have to justify every item. If you need a chair, you have to justify we need a chair. And you're saying it's at every ministry. So when did you do the zero-based budgeting for the Ministry of Water?
So let me then explain it to you further, that the sector working groups, we have what we call sector working groups. So the sector working groups were given instruction from October, November. That was a period for sector working groups. So each sector was justifying their zero-based budget. Each sector was coming up with the actual number of employees that they have in their system, the people they want to employ, and justifying why they want to employ them, and costing the salaries and explaining we need this money.
Okay.
Then we move to the next item. So that happened in the month of October and November, and that is not being done by Treasury. I want to be very clear. When it comes to sector working groups and allocating revenue, allocating budget, it is done at the sector working groups on zero-based basis. Okay. What Treasury did was to provide a tool to help these MDAs, to help the sector working groups to come up with their budgets.
All right.
So that is the only thing.
All right, we'll be weighing that.
In terms of facilitation.
Sorry for cutting you short. I want us to engage the audiences on some of the issues that have been raised. Jimmy?
All right, thank you very much, Sam. And of course, those are some of the key elements that we will be looking at. And of course, a lot of jargon that normally goes into the preparation of the budget. And of course, something that Sam has touched on, zero-based budgeting, things like accrual accounting. What do they all mean? But I want to engage the audience, Sam, and understand, get some of their feedback. Immediately, kindly just, I'll start with you. Just stand up. We'll give us your name and go ahead to ask your question. I'll hold this for you.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks for the CS and the entire panelists. My name is Samuel Buru, Secretary General Kenamis Maspu. This is an alliance of micro, small, medium enterprises in Kenya. My question is, how does the Finance Bill 2025 specifically address the issue of multiple taxation and regulatory compliances costs that continue to burden the MSEs across the country? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Samuel. And of course, we'll take a round of about 5 questions, and we'll then hand it over back to the CS. Kindly just stand up, and then, all right, just you can sit. It's okay, you can sit. Just tell us your name, what you do, and go ahead to ask your question.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ken Onyango, the National Treasurer, Boda Boda and Tuk Tuk Transport Cooperative Union of Kenya. The reason why we are here today is because first is to congratulate the...
Kindly, sir, just go straight to the question.
Kindly, to congratulate the CS for the position of being the CS for Treasury. That's number one. Number two, we want to ask the question, Bwana CS, wakati uliingia in that particular seat, one of the sectors that propelled this government to be in power is Boda Boda and Mama Mboga. Today, this very same Boda Boda umetoa incentives, especially for the assemblers, the local assemblers. And these local assemblers, ukitoa hiyo tax incentives, it means the prices of Boda Boda. Right now, the cheapest bike in the market is around 193,000 Kenya shillings. If you remove the incentive, it means majority of the Boda Boda riders are going to be getting these bikes of by almost past 200 and something thousand, because the assemblers are going to pass that burden back to the Boda Boda riders. Means the prices of spares are going to go up, the prices of and again you've also taxed the imported plastics into the country, which means safety will be compromised, especially for the helmets. Many of the riders are dying on our roads, and they are dying because of a head injury, because the helmets in the market are very, very expensive to buy. So what are the plans that you have? Because the only way you can actually reward us as the border riders, just a minute too, the only way you can reward us is by making sure that you take care of the issue to do with safety. So if the plastics are taxed, the incentives are removed, then it means the wheels that are driving the economy of this country, you're already punishing us, Bwana CS.
All right, thank you so much. And I want to cross over to this side, and I'll start with this gentleman. Kindly tell us your name and go straight to your question, tafadhali.
Okay, good evening. My name is Maurice Odur. I'm the General Secretary. Okay. I'm the General Secretary Matatu Workers Union, and also representing the Matatu operators. My questions are only two. One is...
Let's stick to one question.
Okay. The issue of insurance, Bwana CS, I think the issue of insurance is really hurting the Matatu industry. We have been seeing insurance companies going under, and at the end of the day, the investors suffer as a result of that. So what is the CS going to do to make sure that they safeguard the interests of the public transport operators in this country, because they are the major service providers in this country and they move the masses in this country? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I'll get one, and then I'll hand it over back to Sam and the team. Let me get this young man here.
Yes, because I'm short, let me just stand up. Yes, I'm Moses Ayecho. I'm a digital economy advocate and anti-corruption advocate. My question, I'll address it to FCPA Honorable John Mbadi. Mr. Mbadi, congratulations on your appointment as the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Treasury. Let me go direct with the question as directed. What impact will the reduction of digital asset tax to 1.5% have on compliance and innovation in fintech? I'm asking that because the unemployment rates in the country is alarming, and technology and digital economy are the only solutions left as we speak now. Right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. And I want to get a question from a lady. I don't know. Yes, if we can get one lady.
There's one here.
Wonderful. There is. I'll speak to her. Kindly, may I have. Just tell us your name and go straight to your question. Swali moja tafadhali.
Okay, I'm Jane Kiboy. My question goes to the CS. This is implementation of ETMs for this is electronic tax in invoice management systems. So my question is, what protections are in place to prevent large business from excluding informal traders who may struggle to comply with ETMs? Because this means market access and supplier discrimination, whereby large suppliers small-scale traders will be discriminated from the market because of lack of compliance.
All right. Okay. All right, thank you so much. Sam, over to you.
All right, we'll get another round of questions, especially touching on the content of the budget estimates and also the finance bill of 2025. But Waziri, most of these questions appear to be coming to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will try to address the questions very quickly. And the last one on ETMs, I think that we have two of my staff here, a gentleman and Jane and Izinyangweso. The two of you are from KRA, so you will take this question on the system that you use, because you use it on daily basis. You can address it much easier. Now, on the question of multiple taxations that burden businesses, I think that this came from Buru. We continuously review our tax laws to see and check how they are inhibiting doing business and we make amendments to those laws continuously to make sure that they are aligned to that businesses that we support businesses. If you look at last year in December's bills that were taken to Parliament, there were 4. And one of them was business law amendment bills. And that one was specifically targeting ease of doing business. And it is now an act of Parliament. So if you look at it, you'll find there were a lot of changes that were made into that law that addressed some of the concerns that business people had. But even in this finance bill, there are a few other changes that we have made, including in terms of investment deduction allowance. Where you find the existing law is that you have to deduct this investment allowance over a period of 3 years, even if it is just for small items like utensils, like linen. Now, what we have done in this proposed bill, finance bill, is to expense them in 1 year so that we make it easy. We make it easy in terms of administration and also to help the business people recoup their capital investment earlier than if you did it in 3 years. So that is just an example of how the steps that we took in this bill to address that. Number 2, on the issue of border, and Ken, you talked about us removing incentives. So Ken, I want to first persuade you to now not listen to people who are misreporting our bill, but you rather listen to me because this is the correct position. I think what you are referring to are the goods that we are removing from being zero rated to the status of exempt. Now, exempt goods simply means that they don't attract value-added tax. Zero rated attract tax at 0%. One would argue that that is the same thing. The only difference is that if a good is zero rated, then you are allowed to claim input tax. So then it is correct to argue that a zero rated commodity may be cheaper than exempt commodity. But experience has shown that a lot of the benefits of zero rating does not go to the consumer. Secondly, this zero rating has resulted in what we call tax expenditure to unimaginable proportions. A lot of it fictitious, a lot of it is just as a result of tax cheats.
How much is it now?
Now, the
tax expenditure.
The tax expenditure in total, which includes even exports, is over 400 billion. It's quite significant.
So with those changes that you're introducing in the finance bill, how does that bill
It will address some
reduce?
it may not be that much because a lot of these zero-rated commodities are actually export commodities and we cannot compromise on that. Yeah. But what I wanted to explain to Ken is he asked about motorcycles, if I got him correctly. So this is what this bill says, that goods that are moved from VAT zero-rated status to VAT exempt status, the supply of motorcycles of tariff heading indicated there. That is now going to be exempt and not zero-rated. Now, what is the benefit if it was zero-rated? You'd be allowed to claim input tax. Where is that input tax? The motorcycles that we get in this country is largely imported motorcycles. So it's already coming in as a motorcycle. So you are not even paying input tax in the first place. So there is no input tax, there is no output tax. What I want to say is exempt has the same effect. So let no one sound an alarm that this is going to raise the prices of motorcycles. What we are trying to do is to avoid situations where someone is going to file returns to KRA demanding for some input taxes that cannot be justified. I'll give you another example. Some of these provisions in law, I look at them and they are just laughable. One of them is this. Transportation of sugarcane from farms to milling factories was zero-rated. Now we are saying that should be exempt. Now, if you use a zero-rate transportation of sugarcane to the farm, what are the inputs in transportation of sugarcane? The input is fuel you are putting in the lorry. How would you explain that this fuel that I bought in petrol station X was used to fuel a lorry that was going to transport sugarcane to a plantation and not my own car that I'm using going home? You see, these are the kind of tax cheats that have been happening in this country that we must do away with. So the best thing to do is exempt transportation of sugarcane to the factory, and you get the same result. But the moment you create loopholes,
right,
the end result will be this, that if I own a lorry for transporting sugarcane, I will go and buy gallons of fuel. Some of them I can sell to transporters of another product and make money, because I'm supposed to claim the zero, the input tax. So these are some of the things that we are trying to do away with. The best thing to do is not to give tax incentives. However, because some commodities are so essential, we want to move them from zero rated to exempt, where we are still almost achieving the same results without making Kenyans who are already overburdened by taxes to pay tax cheats who come to KRA every month to claim. Just allow me to say this in 2 minutes. Experience has shown, and KRA has demonstrated, that the claims that they receive, 30% end up being rejected. That clearly tells you that at least 30% of claims are fictitious. There could be more. Number two, experience has also shown us, anytime we make more resources available to KRA to refund people, the number of refunds exponentially increase. Those are the things that we want to deal with by removing commodities from zero rated to exempt. The effect is still exempt commodities will still be cheaper, but we will not be losing money in unnecessary claims. And that is why we are moving some of those items from zero rating to exempt. We are not taking them to standard rating of 16%, which would make your bicycle or motorcycle expensive. We are just saying you will not pay tax, but please don't also claim what you have not paid as if you paid it as input tax.
Waziri, we'll come back to this conversation.
There were other questions.
Yes, those questions, you still respond to them.
You know, that one was a sweet one.
I need to take a short break. Waziri, I'll need to take a short break. We'll be back with this, and of course, we have an active audience here. We'll be also raising questions as to what is contained in those two crucial documents. Stay with us. You're watching The Explainer.